तत्त्वविदां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन क्रदिता पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी.
Prashant is joining.
Verse 10.
Yeah. Prashant is there, no, already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there, Swami. I'm there, Swami.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव मध्ये प्राणामेव विश्य सम्यक् सतं परम पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
Yes.
प्रयाणकाले, at the time of death, achalena manasa, with a steady mind, bhaktya yuktaha, endowed with devotion, yoga balena cha, and with the strength gathered by yoga, bruvoho madhye, between the brows, pranam aveshya, samyak, placing the breath properly, sahahi, tam param purusham divyam, that limitless effulgent person, upaiti, reaches. At the time of death, with a steady mind, endowed with devotion and strength gathered by yoga, placing the breath properly between the brows, he indeed reaches that limitless effulgent person. This entire discussion deals with a lot of a seeker at the time of death. A yogi is someone who can give up his life at will. Because of the strength of his yoga, he is able to stop the flow of prana when he wishes to die. While he leaves the prana, and he stops the functioning of the prana while contemplating upon Atma. It was very clear to him while he was alive that he was Satchit Ananda Atma, and therefore he was free. But he still had Kartritva, because he used his will for death. So he will go to Brahmaloka and will be taught by Brahmaji and gain moksha. This is called Krama Mukti. Swamiji, is it possible for the yogi to decide when he will die?
Yeah, that is what they say. In the sense, these things are all, it's told in all Upanishads. One particular section is there where it talks about Krama Mukti. The Krama Mukti meaning, it is a yogi in the sense, Patanjali Yoga Sutra also talks about where you completely remove all thoughts in the mind, and you have got this pranayama practice and all regularly. You have been doing it for many years, and because of that you are able to hold the prana, that kumbhaka prana. What they say pranayama is, normally you take in breath. Suppose you take in breath for 1 minute, then you hold it for 4 minutes. That itself, that is kumbhaka pranayama they say, and then release it for 2 minutes. So 1 to 4, that is a ratio. So, and again, rechaka pranayama, this is rechaka meaning that you remove when you do the apana, remove and then remove and be without breath. Don't take the next breath for another 4 minutes. And then again take the next breath for 1 minute, hold it for 4 minutes, release it for 2 minutes. Again be without breath for 4 minutes, like that. This is called pranayama. In the sense, it is a real serious practice as far as yogis are concerned in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. What they say is that by doing this, one is you control the prana, and another thing is you have got this Ashtanga Yoga, like Yama, Niyama, all those things are there. A disciplined living, you have a Yama means do what you are supposed, niyama means do what you are supposed to do, yama means avoid what you are not supposed to do, all those things. Those things, yama, niyama, asana, in the sense you sit and regularly sit in a place completely free of thoughts and all that, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, your eating, your sleep, everything is well regulated, pratyahara, dharana, concentration, dhyana and samadhi. The samadhi practice you do it daily, that is this is regularly. And but when the time comes, and also simultaneously he studies, like he has got that faith in the Shastra, it says that you have to merge with Ishvara and all that. So that also is there. But the only thing is that there is no systematic study, like there is no study of that is the Jivan Mukti, in the sense, here and now you are Brahman, you don't have to merge with Brahman. Here and now your reality is Brahman. That study under a Shastra, Acharya, Upadesa is not happening. That is the only thing that is missing. Everything else is there as part of the yoga. So, that sort of a person, because of his long years of practice and he wants to be one with Ishvara, he decides to leave his prana at some point in time. Because of the yoga balam, he is able to do it. That is mentioned. It is mentioned in the Shastra because you really cannot, this is not, there is no upadesha involved in this. This is just a practice and you do it, yoga. That's all. So that's why they just mention it. Krama Mukti is only mentioned, it is not explained. If you ask me how, don't know, but it is there, mentioned in the Shastra everywhere. Here also Bhagavan himself mentions that. And Bhashyakar also doesn't write any great bhashyam on that. He just mentions, this is how it is done. And they proceed on that. So you will see this. Actually from this verse 10 to 20 they will talk about that. And thereafter he will talk about what is the difference between Jnanam and this Krama Mukti and all that. He will tell about that. So there is no further explanation on that. Yeah.
Prayana Kale means at the time of travel or departure. Death is referred to as departure here. How does he die? Achalena Manasa, with a mind that does not waver, that is not distracted, and he is bhaktya yuktaha, endowed with devotion to the Purusha he is contemplating upon. He is a person who has great love for the Atma he contemplates upon. For him there is no other love. How does he willfully stop his prana? Yoga balena cha eva. With the strength of his yoga practice alone, Shankara says, Yoga Bala is steadiness of mind, born of his practice of absorption, the culmination of his practice of Ashtanga Yoga. The object of meditation produces a samskara in the mind, and with repeated meditation, the samskara deepens. For a mumukshu, the only object of meditation is Atma. Here he has a yoga bala that is due to the samskara arising from repeated practice of absorption. This is a person who has lived his life in the practice of yoga along with the pursuit of knowledge. At the time of death, what does such a person do?
Swamiji, the samskara, generally they say, samskara, even that your notes, it's very difficult to get out of that samskara. Here, what does it mean? It's same thing?
See, the samskara can be positive as well as negative. Okay. When we are talking about we are not able to get out of samskara and we are not able to study, when we say that is working against this study. Here, the samskara, because of this yoga bala, it is in favor of he is able to contemplate. Since samskara can be positive and negative, here it is positive towards yoga bala. Yeah.
Bhuvo madhye parapanam aveshya
samyak. Yeah.
First he brings his mind to his heart, the core of the self. He imagines a location on the right side of the heart that is looked upon as a seat of ahankara. It is purely visualization, but it does bring the mind to a state of absorption. Even when chanting a mantra, if you imagine that the mantra comes from there, the chanting is much more absorbing. What does it mean actually here? Right side of the heart?
See, generally, heart is in the left side, right? But this is a location, nothing to do with the physical heart. This is like what we do, no, during Sandhya Vandanam, putting the hands like this, in the middle. Actually, it is the left, to the right of the actual heart. Heart is in the left side, this is the right. This is supposed to be called Angushta Matra Purusha. Angushta Matra Purusha meaning like this, that thumb, no, thumb space. They call thumb space on the right side of the heart. It is just a visualization. You just visualize that there is a place there and you put your mind there and concentrate. It's just a question of meditation, concentration or absorption. Just that's all. There is no other, there is no other clinical connotation in that. It is not a physical, there is anything out there. It is just a general practice that is mentioned in the Shastra, Angushta Matra Purushena, Krit Pundarike and all that we say that. It is all exactly at the center of this chest, you can say. Center of the chest to the right of the heart, physical heart. And Angushta, just a thumb space and you concentrate there. And that is what the Yoga Bala, the Yoga Sutra talks about. Just bring your mind there and concentrate and when you do pranayama also keep the mind there. It's a question of practice. By practice you gain that absorption. That's all. There is no other significance beyond what is told there. Yeah.
Why is it called Ahankara? Seat of Ahankara.
The sense, that is the seat of Ahankara meaning the eye sense. The whole eye is brought in there. In the sense you ensure that there is no thoughts, there is no vritti meaning doing anything, not thinking about family or thinking about any job or something. All your thoughts, generally it's all done with the ahankara, this is with the eye sense. So the eye sense is brought there, we devoid of all thoughts and for absorption. That is how you meditate. It is a physical meditation. Bringing the sense, it is very close to the contemplation, but contemplation involves understanding, which we have been talking about. Nididhyasanam involves the whole second chapter, how your reality is the awareful being, Desakala Vastu Aparichinnam. Through the Shastra Acharya Upadesa, you understand that you are a Nirvishesha Atma, you are being and Ishvara's being are one and the same, and everything else is including your mind, thoughts, ahankara are all only operative. There is only transactional, whereas your reality is nirvishesha. These are all understanding based contemplation. Whereas this person, the yoga which yogi being talked about, he has got a shraddha in Ishvara and he wants to merge with Ishvara. He wants to get out of this body and he removes all his I thought and everything, ahankara and all, and places his mind totally free of thoughts. First he removes the thoughts and brings the mind focused on this Angushta Matra Purusha and meditates and do the pranayama in such a way that he is able to bring the prana to the Sushumna Nadi, through which he is supposed to go to Uttara Marga. That will be explained further. So that is purely a yoga practice which is being talked about here. That's how it is.
No, the Japanese people, when we ask what is your name, they say, I am Krishna Kumar.
Yeah, that's what they will. This is all, actually it has gone from India only, but Buddhism, Buddha and all that, they have developed differently. They will concentrate instead of here, they will concentrate on the tip of the nose and all that. There's so many other types of meditation. They're all physical. Physical in the sense, they are all meditative. It's a practice, technique. It is nothing to do with contemplation, which is being talked about in Shastra. That's the only differentiation we talk about. But in technique, there can be a number of techniques. Plenty of techniques are there for meditation and all that. You just observe the mind, you observe the breath, prana vikshanam. This is pranayama, right? There is prana vikshanam. Just observe. You don't do anything. Just observe your breathing in and breathing out. Normal breathing in and breathing out. That is also there. Prana vikshanam is there. Then there is something called observing the mind. Just keep it empty and observe it. Then there is observe the silence. Then walking meditation. Then chup meditation is there, something called chup meditation. Since keep it silent and chup and just meditate on that. Like that. There are so many techniques. All these techniques are helpful to bring your mind under ekagrata. That is definite. That meditation helps to, so that as a practice, once you are able to do that, suppose you go to a class also, initially you just bring that meditation technique and make your mind attentive. And then you attend the class, perhaps you will absorb it better. So it's all meditative practice that is being talked about here.
Then he stops his prana, then he stops breathing. He inhales and does not exhale. Shankara supplies the word nadi, a technical term from yoga for a kind of nerve. He visualizes a nadi going through the heart to the place between the eyebrows. Emitting the prana through this nadi, placing it between the brows, he stops it there and does not exhale, and thus gives up his life. When he does so, Param Purusham Upaiti, he reaches a limitless person. Because of this expression, we understand that he is a Vidwan and a yogi. So far, Bhagavan has talked about those who contemplate upon Brahman directly. There are others who use a symbol to arrive at contemplation. This he introduces in the next verse. Verse 11. Etaccharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yadyatayo ragaha yadischanno brahmacharyam saranti tatte padam sangrahena pravachye.
This is famous. This is from Kathopanishad. Yad aksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha yad ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Sangrahena pravakshe meaning, very briefly I am going to tell. That is one the sense. And then Kathopanishad comes like we talked about also. Om ityetat. The sense, the whole Shastra can be put in one word. Om ityetat. Like that. That is called Sangrahena Pravakshe. Sankshepena. So that will come. So it's all lifted from Kathopanishad. Yeah.
Yet aksharam, that which does not decline, about which Veda Vidaha, the knowers of Veda, Vadanti, talk about, yet that which Yatayaha, those who make effort, renunciates, Vita Ragaha, who are free from desire, Vishanti.
Vitaraga means free from desire. Yeah.
Vishanti, enter, Yadischantaha, desiring which, Brahmacharyam charanti.
Yeah.
People follow a little life of study and discipline. Tat padam, that end, sangrahena, briefly, te pravakshe, I will tell you. I will tell you briefly about that end which does not decline, about which the knowers of Veda talk about, which the renunciates, free from desire, enter and desiring which people follow a life of study and discipline. So, Vedas are much earlier to Gita.
Yeah, of course, definitely. It's called referred to as Upanishad because Vedas, Upanishads and all of the primary granthas. Since they are the beginning, they are all supposed to be Rishi Vakya, in the sense revealed knowledge to the Rishis because of their long years of contemplation, they get revealed that knowledge. Whatever they know, they just put it in small mantras and all that, just variety of mantras. And Vyasa compiled them all. And whatever was similar, put them all together, Rig Veda, Yajurveda and all that. It is not that the Rishis, they never bothered. They were contemplating and when they get the reveal, they just blurted out a few words as mantras. And that somebody, Sishya or somebody was noting down. And that's all available in palm leaves. Vyasa at later point in time compiled them all together. And then Vyasa, then thereafter only, in order to explain some of them, he wrote the Brahma Sutra and he wrote Gita in the middle of Mahabharata. He wrote, because So as explanatory text for the Vedas. Vedas and Upanishads, they don't have a commitment to explain their own understanding, they repeat very briefly. Sutra, they were all in sutras. But Vyasa, because he wanted to take it down to the people, he was compassionate enough to compile, put them all together, do the Brahma Sutra, which is an analysis of all the Upanishads. And then Gita, which again gives a detailed way of life in the name of dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. How to live your life, how from your current life, how to take it to that understanding. So that Karma Yoga, Nishtha, everything he wrote it down. So that is definitely a much later text in order to help people understand what Veda Upanishads are trying to do. That was the objective, yeah.
The first quarter of this verse is similar to the one in Brihadaranya
Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is supposed to be the big Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Aranyaka means forest. Brihad means big Upanishad. An Upanishad written by the rishis when they were in the forest, in a big Upanishad, in a big way. The very big Upanishad. It is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And the second quarter, one is Katha Upanishad. There is again another Upanishad, which he has given the reference also 1.215. I got the Katha Upanishad. I will just try to read it for you. Yeah, this is what it is. 1215, what it says is Sarve Vedaha Yatpadam Amananti Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yat Vadanti. Sarve Vedaha Yatpadam Amananti, meaning on all Vedas what is told, what are the words that are told. Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yat Vadanti. Tapamsi means people who are doing tapas, sarvani, all of them they talk about this. What they talk about is Yat Ichantoho, that is what is coming here. Yat Ichantoho Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatpadam Sangrahena Bravim Yo Mityetat Bravim O Mityetat comes. Here he talks about Pravakshe, Sangrahena Pravakshe. There it talks about Sangrahena, Bravim, that is Bravim, Yo, Om Ityetat. That's what I was telling. In the sense, in the Upanishad it tells straight away Om Ityetat as the Vakya. Here it talks about Sangrahena Pravakshe. And then he will explain what is this Pravakshe, what I am going to tell. That he will explain in the Gita. Yeah.
That end, which the Vedas talk about, desiring which people take to a life of discipleship, I am going to tell you briefly. That is Om.
Yeah.
Same thing is going to be said here in 3 verses. Yet Aksharam Vedavido Vadanti. Vedavid means those who know the Veda, not merely how to recite, but the meaning of the Veda. There is a mandate that everyone should study one's own Veda, either the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda or Atharva Veda. Swadhyayo, Adyate.
In our Taittiriya Upanishad mantras, it is told, it is sort of mandated. Swadhyayo Adyetavyaha, meaning Swadhyayo, your own Veda, you are supposed to chant regularly. Swadhyayo Adyetavyaha. That is a mandate. People who are living in a Vedika life. That is why Swami, in the sense, the whole thing that is being talked about, Adi Deva, Adi Bhuta, Adi Yajna, and all that, the whole thing, what is being talked about here is in terms of a Vaidika's life. People who are following Veda, how they were living. There, every day, they are supposed to do Swadhyayo Adyetavyaha, meaning your own Sama, suppose you belong to Krishna Yajur Veda, like Taittiriya and all that. at least a few texts you are supposed to recite daily. Which part of the routine, in the sense that's what is being told. Swadhyayo adhyetabhyaha. That is a mandate. There is a mandate for everyone. Yeah.
Mere recitation of the Veda is also called Adhyayana.
Veda Adhyayana, that you heard. Yeah.
But a Vidhi rule is only complete when the result is realized. Veda is a pramana and has a capacity to reveal knowledge which has a result. After learning to recite, one must analyze the sentences until one understands the entire Shastra, especially Vedanta Shastra. Until that time, one has not fulfilled the Vidhi. Its force applies only applies until one knows Aham Brahma Asmi, I am Brahman. So, Vedavit is the one who knows the meaning of the Veda.
Brahman is Akshara, that which is not subject to destruction, not being bound by time. Those who know the Veda talk about this. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya teaches Gargi what Aksharam Brahma is. Etatvai tadaksharam Gargi Brahmana Abhivadanti.
Yeah, the same thing. Brahmanaha Abhivadanti. Etat Aksharam. Aksharam means again Om. So again the explanation of Om, Yajnavalkya tells Gargi in that for Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Yeah.
1 minute. It is neither big nor small, nor short, nor tall. Thus it is free from all attributes. Aksharam Brahma is not an object, nor is it something to be gained in the usual sense. It is not to be experienced, but to be known. Yadichanta Brahmacharyam Charanti. Deciding to know this, people live a life of Brahmacharya, a life of discipline in the presence of the teacher. That discipline implies study, meditation, mantra japa and so on. Yat yateyaha vitaraga vishanti.
Vitaragaha vishanti. Plural. Yeah.
Vitaragaha vishanti. Yatis are those who are capable of right effort. One of the principal things that is required for this knowledge is renunciation. So a person who gives up all other pursuits and dedicates his life to this pursuit is called a yati. He is a sannyasi. They are free from powerful likes and dislikes because they are not interested in security and pleasure. They are committed to moksha.
See, yati means yatana shilaha. I think I have told before also. The sense people of right effort. That is called yati. Right effort meaning, what is our right effort? Moksha. In the sense, our understanding of life, understanding reality of life, which I have mentioned in my article, which I have, the Sarva Karma Sannyasa, which Swamiji has talked about in the last 2 talks. Where understanding the reality of life, there is no option. So, that everyone is supposed to do. And Rishi, Yati, Sannyasi does that. So, it is called Yatna Shilaha Yati. That's what it is. Yeah.
Te padam sangrahena pravakshe. I will tell you briefly that end which is to be accomplished in terms of knowledge. Padam means the end that is to be accomplished. It also means that which is the most worshipful. Here moksha is the ultimate end and also the most worshipful.
Padam also means word, which we have the padartha, pada also is one word. Om is one word, even though one aksharam, it's only one syllable, but it is a word. Yeah.
Shankara introduces the next 2 verses discussing Omkara Pranava. It is introduced for the first time in the Bhagavad Gita. So Shankara makes a note here. Om as a word for contemplation. Om is a word for Brahman. Just as when you hear the word pot, a meaning strikes you, so too with Om. If you know the meaning, it registers when you hear the word Om. Then Om becomes a Vachaka, name, and a Brahman becomes Vachya, what is named.
See what I have mentioned in that article, right? When you hear the word pot, that Ramamurthi's conversation, You will read or not? That I have sent you one thing that satsang in the WhatsApp.
Ramu, yes.
You remember that? You have also commented, right? That the example that is told is pot.
Pot.
When you look at pot, you go to clay. And you remember, clay is nothing but sand. Sand is nothing but silica. Finally, it's only a concept. Finally, it comes to the awareness being. So, that is how we have to, a meaning strikes you. Means, likewise, Om. Meaning, it is like, again going to the awareness. Om means what? A means, when you open your mouth, you produce a sound A. When you close the mouth, you produce a sound When you, in between U. So, Ma. All words are covered by the three aksharas, Ma, to begin to the Om syllable. So, Om also stands for A for waking state, U for dream state, M stands for sleep state. So, all your dream, waking, sleep, all are covered. So, the whole day is covered, the whole life is covered, and and then all your transactions are covered in terms of everything, every transaction, every object, every activity is given a name and form, and the name and form registers in your mind. So, basically you live through the mind, they live you through the words, and the words are resolved into Om, and so all your activities and events in life are resolved in Om. All your waking state, dream state, reality are all resolved in Om. When you say Om, you are able to reduce it all to finally the whole life is reduced to Om, the being. Like even when you say part and you extrapolate, you again come to the awareness being. So this is the understanding. Once you have the understanding, everything gets reduced to the you, the being, the awareness being, which is equivalent to Ishvara also is the same awareness being. That is what this contemplation is all about. Whole understanding is all about. So, this is told in a very brief manner in this word Om. And Om is used in Mandukya Upanishad. Om is explained. Agama Prakaranam is talking about only Om. One word Om. The whole Prakarana, whole Agama Prakarana is talked about in Mandukya Upanishad. In the sense, what they say, the entire life is nothing but one awareful being, which is Ishvara, Swarupa and your Swarupa. Everything is changing. Changing means it's just like even a movie, and you are a reality, and everything else is a movie, which I have been telling. And we have seen in the second chapter also. The whole Upanishad, it talks very briefly. Shankara and all, Swamiji and all, they give a lot of explanation, make it understandable. But Upanishad just talks about 6-7 verses, one Upanishad is over. But if you look at pages and pages of commentary by various commentators, there will be a Bhashyakara, there will be a Tika, Tippani, then footnotes, then Swamiji, like that. So many, because it is purely metaphysical, abstract knowledge. But once you understand it, once you make it your reality, your life is fulfilled. That was how the rishis contemplated. That is how they lived a fulfilled life. That is why they were very close communion with the Ishvara. So that was it's a question of the Bhashyakara and all. What they have done is they explained what it means to you. The Upanishad revealed the knowledge from Shastra, what it means to you as a human being. They brought it down to our understanding. That is what we are reading now. But just this one para tells about the whole thing. Yeah.
In general, between a word and its meaning, there is a permanent connection. Vachya Vachaka Sambandha. For example, the word apple is a Vachaka and the object apple the Vachya. It is not quite the same with the name of a person. Like John can mean anybody. John is not a Vachaka in the same sense that apple is. It has no real Vachya in that. There is no permanent Vachya Vachaka Sambandha. John is a word that brings to mind a given person whom you know. It serves as a Vachaka if you know it is the name of a person you know. Similarly, the Shastra as named Brahman has Om. If you have studied the Shastra, you recognize Brahman by the name Om. The Shastra says that Atma, the conscious being, is Brahman and that Brahman is Om. You contemplate upon the meaning of Om as yourself being everything. Then Om takes the mind to contemplation, not meditation. But if you contemplate upon the meaning of Om as Ishvara, then it becomes dhyana, meditation, Saguna Brahma Upasana.
So these verses talk about dhyana, Saguna Brahma Upasana. It is not talking about the detailed understanding which we have been doing from the beginning of the Gita. So this is talking about only the context is dhyana, Saguna Brahma Upasana. There again the objective is Ishvara only, but not through understanding, but by contemplation, by meditation.
In meditation, there are two types of symbols. One is pratika, verbal, and the other is pratima, a tangible physical form. Upon either of these, you can superimpose a concept of Ishvara and worship that symbol as Ishvara. In this type of meditation, Ishvara is always paroksha.
Paroksha, meaning the other. Basically, that is the major impediment in the sense between understanding and this type of meditation. The impediment is Ishvara is always the other. You are only upasana, upasaka, sambandha. Since you meditate upon Ishvara and you want to be with Ishvara, then Shraddha is there, but the understanding through the Shastra, Acharya Upadesha has not yet happened. But because of your contemplation, because of your meditative power and yogic power, you want to meditate upon Ishvara and go. And hopefully you will go to Brahmaloka because of your Shraddha and meditation and Upasana, Veda, Vedic living and all that. There in Brahmaloka, Brahma will teach you. Same Aham Brahmasmi there. Swamiji will playfully say, why take all the trouble to understand that if you can understand it here? So whereas the yogis, they are very determined. They will go to Brahmaloka only and then they will get taught by Brahman and then they will get the mukti. Suppose they don't get taught, they will come back and continue their life and perhaps they will get it in the next life, whatever. So that is why it is future. It is not, it is yoga and yoga bala and all are for future. So the idea, objective is moksha, oneness with Ishvara, but at a future date. That is the only difference.
Meditation with Om as a pratika. Om can also be a sound symbol, a pratika. Then it means aparam Brahma. It is purely a symbol upon which you superimpose your indirect knowledge of Ishvara. Because there is no knowledge, it is no longer a vachaka. It is purely for upasana which has the result of taking you to Brahmaloka. There Brahmaji may teach you if you are a mumukshu and if you have enough punya. Or you will return to a human birth and pick up the thread. In the Prasnopanishad, Satyakama asks his guru what kind of loka a person will gain if he meditates upon Om, and he is told that Omkara can represent both Param Brahma and Aparam Brahma. 5.1 to 5.5.
That is in the Prasnopanishad. We have to refer that. I don't have any reference here.
It is apara if it is a pratika, a symbol for paroksha Ishvara. It is para if it is contemplated upon as Paramatma, who is identical with Pratyagatma.
See, there is a difference. Para and apara, we have discussed it before also. Para, prakriti and apara, prakriti. Para means what is here and now understandable. Param Brahma, which is you, which is me and Ishvara also. Apara means other than you. In the sense, you know it is Ishvara, but it is other for upasana purpose.
Each letter, as we have seen, represents one of the three states of experience. When Omkara is chanted, the last letter, Makara, dissolves into silence, which is pure consciousness, neither walker, dreamer, nor sleeper. From that silence, the Akara rises. When you chant Om, the word is pervaded by consciousness, which itself is not affected by Akara, Ukara or Makara, A, U or M. Everything resolves in that which is neither waker consciousness, nor dreamer consciousness, nor in-between consciousness, nor sleeper consciousness, nor unconsciousness. This is what is called consciousness, which is Atma, Om, the Vachaka for Brahman. In Kathopanishad, Nachiketas asks about that which is above dharma and adharma, above cause and effect. Lord Yama answers in a way that is similar to what is mentioned here. But in other places, Omkara is presented as a symbol for Upasana for those who do not understand Param Brahma as it was taught to them. Since the Gita Shastra is dealing with the various forms of departure here, the one who meditates upon Om is discussed. If he meditates on Om as a symbol, there is travel and further growth. If he contemplates and understands it, there is no further travel.
See, this earlier para which talked about Waker consciousness, dreamer consciousness and all that, no? I have mentioned in my article again, that Ramamurthi's satsang, where you are able to look at the awareful being as illumining your waking state, your sleep state, your dream, your thoughts, everything. What is changeless is the being, awareful being, the consciousness, and everything else changes. So we have to that Ma resolves into the awareful being. That is what is the Tatparya. This is again part of the Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad, Agama Prakaranam, talks about very elaborately how even your waking state is nothing but, as I have told before also, your waking state, we think that things are all outside. It is not. They are all inside. Finally, everything is processed inside only, software. And from there only you operate. Your own assumption, your own fears, your own opinions, bias, everything originates from the mind. So to that extent, mind is the recipient and the active, active place for all your, even Vyavahara activities. Like even the mind is the same place where the dream also is happening. Only that the in Vyavahara, there is an very active Antakarna, ego. Whereas in dream, only memory is there. There is no really active Antakarna. So whatever memory has, it processes and the dream happens. Whereas in your waking life, same Antakarna, but it is very active and it is coming out with all its biases and all, and every one of us is doing it. So it looks like it is something real happening outside, but everything is happening in the minds of people only. So that is where Mandukya Upanishad equates your dream as well as waking as one life. Both are equally. One is the Dirgha Swapna, another is Short Swapna. That's all the difference it says. So both are dismissed and only reality is Paramarthikam, that is your reality, the awareful being. That is how it reduces. All the Upanishads do the same thing. So the Akara, Mukara, Makara is meant for that, resolving into the awareful being when you meditate upon it. If you understand, you will understand it thoroughly and you will contemplate. Otherwise, you will meditate on Om as Ishvara and meditate. And that is also, if you are really having the Shraddha, and because of your Vedic background and puja, panaskaram and ritual and all that, and pranayama and all regularly you do, by willing and concentrating on the mind, you bring in Omkara, Upasana, and then hopefully you will live with that with that prajna, and when you go to a good loka where Brahmaji or anyone like Niketas went to Yamadharma Raja, he got taught. In the same way, you may also get taught. Otherwise, you will come back again. Anyway, if you don't understand, you will have to come back again and learn the same thing. Just you understand that I am Brahman here and now, your cycle will keep continuing. That's what it says, essentially. Yeah.
Prashant, will you read? Prashant?
Yes, I can. 1 second.
12 and 13.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
You are in which place?
Verses 12 and 13.
12 and 13. Meditation upon Om and its result.
Meditation upon Om and its result. By mistake, my microphone got muted. So that I browsed the mouse, so went on to the next page. Sarva Dwarani Samyamya Mano Hridi Nirudya Cha Murnya Dayatmanah Prana Astito
Yoga Dharana.
Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mamanusmaran यत्र याति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम्. Sarva dwarani, all the gates of perceptions, sense organs, samyamya, closing, manaha, the mind, hridi, into the heart, nirudhyacha, and withdrawing, atmanaha, pranam, one's breath, murdhini, at the top of one's head, adaya, placing, yoga dharanam astitaha, being the one who remains holding breath by yoga. Om iti eka aksharam brahma, the single syllable Om, which is Brahman. Vyaharan, chanting. Mam anusmaran, remembering me. Deham yajan, giving up the body. Yaftrayati, the one who departs. Saha, he. Paramam gatim yati, goes to the most exalted end. Closing all the gates of perception, sense organs, withdrawing the mind into the heart, placing one's breath at the top of one's head, being the one who remains holding one's breath by yoga, chanting the single syllable Om, which is Brahman, giving up the body, one who departs, remembering me, goes to the most exalted end. This is the yogi who meditates on Omkara. Sarva dwarani samyamya, having closed all the gates. These gates are the ways through which the world enters into you, the sense organs. The person discussed here is a yogi, not a jnani. A yogi has to shut out everything and then concentrate. A jnani may shut out the world or may not, because he knows his vision has changed. Here, the meditator is sitting in a relaxed posture with all his senses withdrawn. Manohridi nirudhyacha, and taking the mind inward. In fact, this is all you really have to do to withdraw the senses from their pursuits. Just turn the mind towards yourself. Atmana pranam murdhni adaya, placing one's prana at the top of one's head, one does not allow the breath to be exhaled. Om iti eka aksharam brahma vyaharan, chanting the syllable Om, which is the name of Brahman, Mam anusmaran, thinking of me. Ishvara, thinking of me, Ishvara, one continues to hold one's breath at the top of one's head. And continuing to hold one's breath in this way, yoga dharanam astitaha, deham tyajan, giving up one's body, yaf prayati, the one who departs, saha paramam gatim yati, he goes to the most exalted end. Death is only for the body, not for the jiva. The jiva keeps traveling until he knows he is Atma, which is eternal. Then the jivatva, superimposition upon Atma, dies. The jiva does not die at any time because the truth of the jiva is Atma. So the one who leaves his body in this manner goes to the most exalted end. The word prayati can indicate travel. Krishna says because of his great meditation, death, thinking of me and chanting Om, he leaves this body and goes straight to Brahmaloka. There he asks Brahmaji for this knowledge. Brahmaji teaches him the Atma Jnana and he is released. Paramagati is the end, which is the discovery of the self, being Brahman. This is moksha but gained in Brahmaloka, and it is called Kramamukti. Verse 14. I am easily gained for the one who constantly remembers me. Ananya chetav satatam yomam smarati nityashaha tasyabham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. Partha, O Partha, Ananya chetaha, son, being the one whose mind sees no other, yaha, the one who, nitya saha, for a length of time, satatam, constantly, mam, me, smarati, remembers, tasya yoginaha, for that yogi, nitya yuktasya, who is always united with me, aham surabaha, I am easily gained. Partha Arjuna, The one who has a mind that sees no other, who remembers me constantly for a length of time, for that yogi who is always united with me, I am easily gained. Ananya Chetas, the one whose mind is not in any object or devata other than oneself. This particular expression is used throughout the Gita. Anya means another. So Anya Chetas is one whose mind is committed to an object other than himself. Whether it is Dharma, Artha, Kama or even Ishvara as someone other than oneself. The one who does not look upon Ishvara or anything else as other than oneself is Ananya Chetas. How long must one contemplate? The Lord says Satatam, constantly, Satatam Yaha Mam Smarati, the one who always remembers me. The word Smarana is used here because you can only bring back to mind what you already know. The Smarana is always preceded by Sravana.
Shravana.
It means
Shravana, we said, no? Yeah.
It means dwelling upon something and implies contemplation, satsanga, manana and even shravana.
Yeah, what we do now is satsanga, shravana and manana, understanding, trying to understand what Ishvara is all about. Yeah.
The person spoken of here has undergone exposure to the Shastra and analyzed it, but still has the orientation that he is the body, Deha Atma Buddhi. We have seen the difference between confusion and an orientation. I'm not able to read that footnote. Can someone read it?
Yeah, footnote is basically in the volume 5, that is in the 7th chapter, which I had sent you. There we are talking about your orientation can persist even after the knowledge because of the samskara she was talking about. Because of that, since you may still not own up that understanding that even though we are talking about Aham Brahmasmi, that awareness being, Desakana, we are not able to own up that understanding. That can happen, that is because of that only we do Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is contemplation to change the orientation to own up our reality as per the understanding. That is what is referred to here. Yeah.
A simple confusion requires clarification only once. An orientation or habitual error requires repeated correction. Here, the Deha Atma Buddhi, the notion that the body is I and I am the body, is such an orientation, which is why even when the confusion is resolved by the Shastra, you continue to have problems that are due to this identification. It is because this notion has prevailed for a long time. When you have lived your entire life with the notion that you are the body, how are you going to remove it? It's because somebody said Tattvam Asi. Orientation has to go, and for that constant smarana of the fact that I am Brahman or Brahma Abhyasa, as we saw before, is necessary. You must constantly.
No, that 6th chapter we talked about Abhyasa and Vairagya. Both 635 and all, lot of discussion on Abhyasa and Vairagya. So that is what is being referred to. Yeah.
You must constantly dwell upon this knowledge until the orientation is corrected. Since Satatam means always, the question arises as to why has Bhagavan used Nitya Saha, which also means always. Nitya Saha, which also means always. It is because the word Satatam is used in the sense of constantly without any interval. So by using this word, the one who constantly remembers Ishvara, that is the one who spends one's time in contemplation, thinking, teaching, discussing, the one who is thus constantly in satsanga is being indicated here. Here, constantly can be for one day, a week or longer. So Bhagavan adds another word, Nitya Saha, which also means always. The affix Sas conveys either the sense of abundance or limitation. Therefore, the use of the word Nitya Saha indicates that one contemplates until one requires no more contemplation, which is why the meaning given for this word is for a length of time instead of always.
Yeah, basically, Satatam meaning rest of your life, that becomes your way of life thereafter. Once the understanding is there, what is the point? Once you have to know one of your understanding that Aham Brahmasmi, You don't have to even ask till when, till your death, continue, be that prajna. This is what this, satatam, always.
Bhagavan continues and says, Tasya yoginaha aham sulabha. For that yogi I am easily gained. Sulabha means the one who is gained without any difficulty. A number of arguments can be given as to why the Lord is easily gained. Anything that you want to accomplish requires effort. No matter how small the effort, if at all it requires effort, it is considered sulabha.
It's not considered sulabha. If it requires effort, it is not considered sulabha. Yeah.
If it all requires effort, it is not considered sulabha. Now the gain of Brahman is the maximum possible gain. You cannot exceed limitlessness. Your orientation is greater.
The greater the gain, greater the effort required to achieve it. Generally we think that way, right? Greater the gain means greater the effort is required, which is not so here. Yeah.
But here the greatest possible gain is said to be easily gained. To gain Brahman, Bhagavan says here, you must dwell upon Brahman, the source of all love. What effort do you require to dwell upon what you love? Loving does not require any effort, it is very natural. At least if it is an object, you have to bring it to your mind. But here is you, Atma is Parmeshwara, therefore there is nothing to be desired. Atma's nature is fullness, so dwelling upon that is joyous. Nothing new is produced either, so it is not born of any effort. It is born purely of recognition of the fact because it is an already accomplished fact. No production is involved, nothing new is added, nothing old is removed. Who is the yogi? A Nitya Yukta's mind is always tranquil. A Nitya Yukta is one who is endowed with a mind that is always tranquil. It is under control in the sense that it does not have any problem in dwelling upon Bhagavan. It is something that is natural to him. Whenever the mind is free, it goes towards Bhagavan. It is like a person who is in love. His mind always goes naturally towards the beloved. Here the mind naturally goes towards Paramatma because he has understood it as the word Smarana indicates. Where else will the mind go? Until he gains such a mind, he continues to do Shravana and uses his will to dwell upon the Lord. Later, the very subject matter takes over and he does not require any will. All that is required is the initial choice, being one who is Ananya Chetas, whose mind is committed to Parameshwara, he remains absorbed.
We will stop here. So, see the contrast. Compared to the yogi and all that, so much of tapas and all they have to do. Whereas once you have the understanding and you are able to contemplate, it is sulabha. Generally they use the word, there is a nyaya called prasamsa. Prasamsa meaning, in order to praise something, the difficulty involved in the opposite is stressed. So the yogi, and we have been talking about the yoga balam, murdhinyadaya and all that, so much of elaborate explanation is given just to make it clear how, in contrast, how it is so difficult, whereas we have the understanding, it becomes sulabha. So prasamsa and telling the difficulty involved in other things is being highlighted. This is a method by which Shastra makes us understand what your method of living should be. That is the idea of telling all this. Otherwise, Gita has no tatparya in that yogi's way of going to death through mudni, adaya and all that. But instead of going off all the effort, you go to Brahmaloka and wait there for Brahma to teach you. Instead, you can learn here from the Guru, here and now. Why postpone it? That is the idea of telling all this here. Yeah. So that is why the Mattaha Anyaha, the 7th chapter which I have sent you, if we are able to one up that understanding, myself and Ishvara are one and the same here and now, that understanding if it is there, then you will go for this sulabha. Sulabha meaning and understanding and contemplating and being with Ishvara all the time, rather than going for a yogi's method of going to Brahmaloka. So that is what it is being talked about here. Yeah.
Swami,
Basically, me means Bhagavan says, Mattaha, me, Anyaha, na. You and me are not separate. That is what Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti. That's all.
Mattaha
Is the Tatparya of the 7th chapter. The same Bhagavan says, you and I are not separate. The whole Tatparya is Mattaha Anyaha Na.
Oh, Mattaha is one word, huh? It's one word, Mattaha.
One word, yeah. Mattaha Anyaha Na. Because generally in Sanskrit, the same case ending should be there for which one qualifies. That's Anyaha qualifies Mattaha. So both have the same case ending. Mattaha Anyaha Na. That is how it is. That is the Tatparya, that is the theme of the 7th chapter, which is being expounded here. Here also Bhagavan says, once you understand this, you have to only contemplate. Like we say, no karumbuthunna kuliyangiradhukku eppalam pananum kekkrade vendam enna kekkradu, because you have to be with Bhagavan all the time. Just contemplate whenever you get time. You create your life, your methodology of living, way of life, everything, the lifestyle in such a way that you are able to pursue this, have this satsang, do this contemplation time and again through the day. You don't have to ask anybody. Whenever you get time, you do it. And for that you have to have a simpler lifestyle. Not too much of activity and all that. Whatever is essential, you keep doing it. It's all depending on wherever you are. So that is again coming to the Sarva Karma Sannyasa. In the sense, Sannyasa is what? There are two things. One is what you call what they say, no, in the sense in that article, what I the conversation I have mentioned, both the things. One is transcending, another is immanence. Transcending is transcending all the waking, sleep and dreaming, everything, and being. The being is what transcends. It is not connected. Asangohi ayam purushaha, that's what this Shastra tells. The sense, as a Purusha, as a being, you are not attached to any of these things. Everything keeps changing. You sleep, you wake up, you do a lot of, you dream, everything. But in that, what is constant, which is not connected to any of these things, is the awareness being, your being. So, asangohi ayam purushaha, that is transcending. Okay, if I am transcending all that, what is happening in all these activities, what is being illumined again is by my Nirvisesh Atma. Without my being there, I will not be able to connect between the sleeper person and the waking person. When you go to sleep, you will get lost, and the next day morning you will get up as somebody else. So where you will connect? The only way you are connect, because you are constant between the yesterday, today, tomorrow, wake up, sleep, dream. The awareful being is only connecting. That is why it's called immanent. Without it pervading the whole thing, your life is not possible. At the same time, it is not connected. Bhagavan says, this is how I am, this is how you are. Everything else is happening like a movie. Just live your life, do what you are about to do. Just be. And be the being, be one with me all the time. How I am with you, you also be with me. I am with you all the time, but you refuse to be with me all the time. He says, he complains, basically. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate